Welcome to Sister Show Me How,
the pod where we talk you through all the real rough shit.
Join us on our healing journey as we work through all the hot topics of life.
I'm Slick Rick, your how-to sister and host of Sister Show Me How.
And I'm MK, your other how-to sister and co-host of Sister Show Me How.
Today we're taking on introductions. How we introduce ourselves is literally the first thing people ask you at a party, which is what we saw this weekend.
Yeah, it is.
And oftentimes we just rattle off all of our titles, like our job
achievements.
titles.
Yeah.
But
Straight A student or some shit.
Yeah, whatever category of life you're in, it's either straight A student or intern or regular student or whatever job you work at or
right.
Well, that's usually or how many kids you have or how many wives you have.
How many times you've been divorced? I'm Ross, 3 divorces.
Okay, but for this, I wanted to make sure that we had the most efficient introduction, and so I did some Monica research, and I went through a bunch of articles to figure out what was the most efficient introduction there was. So was it Inc.com says that the most efficient introduction consists of 3 parts: the present, who you are and why you're here; the past, why your presence is relevant; and then the future, which is a fun tidbit or what you plan to accomplish here. Okay. So we had these prior. We worked out a little worksheet. I'm not going to feel embarrassed about that. I made a worksheet for this episode.
We are type A people.
In case it's not obvious. So Em, go ahead and read off yours first.
Alright, so my introduction, I'm Em, and I'm here to share all my past, present, and future struggles on finding myself, so hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. As a former gifted kid that's currently burnt out as fuck, I'm still working through my need for intellectual and societal validation, and knowing that my worth is not based on my school and or career achievements. My goal is to be supportive and encouraging of anyone that wants to work through the trauma of living through modern day society and let go of all of the shit that society tells us that we need, and we really don't need it. Yeah. And I think we all just be our best, most genuine and happy selves.
Okay, so mine was, I'm Rick, your hostess with the most sass, and I'm here to share all of my wisdom of my fuck-ups with you so that you know how to do it better. As an unofficial foster kid turned corporate dropout, I have a very special set of fuck-ups that helps me get real honest, real quick. And my goal here is to create an open space for people to lift and shift into more authentic versions of themselves by talking about the real shit. So the real shit, I feel like, is a term that gets tossed around in the popular scene, you know what I mean? Because everyone is sick of small talk nowadays, and they all want the real talk. But I don't think that.
I think a lot of real talk these days is gossip, which I'm not going to say gossip is all bad. We're humans. It is a natural thing that we do. That is A-okay. But there are better and more important things that we can spend our time talking about.
Absolutely. I wish I had it in front of me right now, but there was a saying, I want to say by Aristotle.
We can check that later.
Yeah. But it was essentially him saying, like, before you tell me something, I want to know 3 things. 1, is it true? 2, is it pertinent for me to know? And 3, I think is like, will it change my opinion of the person or something? I don't remember exactly, and that's probably not great for making the point that I want to make. But yes, gossip is not great, and if it's not true, especially, then it's just hurtful.
Yes.
You know, so then it's like, that's not really the real shit.
Right.
What I deem to be the real shit is like the real vulnerable shit. You know, what's it look like and feel like and sound like? And I think it oftentimes looks like raw and open communication. And it sounds like not accepting excuses for your behavior
Mm-hmm.
and not allowing excuses. And also, adjacent to that is accepting a whole lot of responsibility for your person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that those are two things that people are not really used to doing.
No, people don't like to take accountability, which is understandable. Accountability is so hard.
And it sucks.
Yeah, you don't want to admit that you're wrong.
No.
That feels awful.
No, the joke always is who wears the pants and who is right.
Right. Can't just be like, well, I've always been this way, so that's just who I am. It's like, no. If this is something that's causing a problem, yes, same. If this is something that's causing a problem for you, yourself, and your life, or people around you that you care about, you can't just take it and say, this is just who I am. That's bullshit.
It is bullshit. Absolutely is bullshit, because every part of your personality can change.
Yeah, you could be an entirely different person tomorrow.
Right, exactly. And it would be a little wild, but you could
absolutely
do it. You could totally do it. So long as your core values and the part of your character is still there.
And you've got to be doing it for you.
Yeah.
Mostly for you.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'll go back to if it's hurting your loved ones and they're having issues with that, then sure, I would love for you to change for your loved ones, but not if they're pressuring you. It's got to come from you.
Right, and only if you know that they have your best intention at heart and not just some, like, I'm trying to live through you bullshit.
Right.
Vicariously.
Right. But yeah, it's hard to take responsibility for those sorts of things because accountability is really hard, and admitting that you might be wrong is really hard, and I think that's where a lot of people get stuck.
Yeah.
People don't want to admit that.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, once you get past your ego, which we'll talk about on a different pod, so stay tuned. Once you get past your ego wanting you to be right all of the time, and you start to recognize what admitting you're wrong benefits you, and the way that it builds your relationships with others, and the way that that builds trust and vulnerability, I think that you'll begin to benefit from that. And that even goes towards, a lot of the times, I think what the real shit sounds like is a shaking voice. And half the time a panic attack. And there's butterflies, and there's nerves, and if you're crazy enough like us, sometimes there's tears.
Yep.
You know, but eventually it gets a lot easier, and it becomes like intoxicating, you know, like, and then you're just craving for anyone to authentically connect with you everywhere.
Yeah, it makes a big difference whenever you kind of shed that fake persona that you've been putting on with other people and just be yourself. And, you know, yes, it's really hard because you are going to freak out at first, because it's so scary to really be that vulnerable, especially 99% of the time. I'll give you 1% to not.
But as you do it, it gets more, you know, the vulnerability part becomes more of a positive thing.
Yeah,
and so
you
the
feel
nerves
better.
are less.
It's not a weakness,
Right.
because you start, and that vulnerability starts to feel less like a weakness and like something that you're insecure about, and something that you're really confident in.
It's your strength.
Because you're like, oh my god, this is me.
Yeah.
Who the fuck cares
Yeah.
what everybody else thinks and feels about me?
Yeah.
Because this is who I am.
Yeah,
and
and
that
guess
is
what?
all that matters.
We also think and feel, and we think and feel things about you too, so maybe you should be a little more insecure about the way we feel about you rather than us feeling insecure about the way you feel about us. Word, drop the mic. I don't have one, and I'm not going to drop this one because it's too cute, but pretend I have a mic. So yeah, it's a bit of a whirlwind, I feel like. But don't worry, because we will talk you through some of them, most of them, well, hopefully all of them eventually.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more. How many times am I going to say stay tuned?
You've got twice now.
All right, well, stay tuned for more. There's 3.
There's 3. Running tally.
Running tally. We'll put a little check mark. Okay, so personally, you know this story. But we, for those who don't know, we are old college friends. And we worked at the same internship together, and we were in the same field together. But I was in the field for like less than 2 years and said, man, don't want to do this anymore, right? And I hopped around for a bunch of jobs, and now I'm at this great place that really gives me pretty much everything I'm looking for in a job. It allows me to express myself for the most part. It's only annoying sometimes, but what job isn't? And I think the thing that I struggled with the most when I first started there was just being there. Like, because I had become so accustomed to telling people, oh, well, I work at an architecture firm, I'm important. And I was the first one in my family to like go to university and to actually get a 4-year degree. I am the only bachelor in our entire family, and so for me to drop the field that I worked so hard for felt like a really bad decision for a really long time. But I was, miserable at that job before, and just like coming home crying, and I didn't want to do anything for that company. Like, I was looking at my boss, and I was like, I don't even want your job.
No.
You look more miserable than I feel, and I know you get more vacation than me. So, like, I don't know if that's what's supposed to make this job better, and you look more miserable than me. I don't believe you anymore.
Plus, how fucked up is the idea that what is making your job worth it is the days that you're not at your job.
Bingo.
That's no fun. Nobody should be doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So I decided that it was better for my mental health for me to just leave. And now that I'm at this job that most of society would deem for teenagers, or not a real job,
or only what you do to put yourself through college.
Right, exactly. I'm doing as a career. I've completely given up on the idea of a career entirely. Like, I don't know if you guys caught that yet, but I don't think that your career is how you should base your life at all. And maybe that's why I'm so adamant on this introductions thing and getting away from our titles, is because I think that genuinely they're distracting us from what's real and what connection actually feels like, looks like, sounds like, all those other things.
And I think it's also like something I've realized is you get these titles, and that is how you introduce yourself, and then you're starting these conversations, particularly with people you've just met,
right?
Because you're getting to know them, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm Emily, I work at an architecture firm, and that's what you continue to talk about,
right,
for the next however many minutes is, oh, what does that look like? What do you do? How much do you make?
Man, this is supposed to be a party. I don't give a shit about work.
Right, exactly. Like, and plus, why are we basing getting to know each other off of our fucking jobs? That is the least important part.
Yes, that is the most boring part about us.
Yes.
Next being our bodies and what our bodies look like, but we'll get to that on another podcast. Stay tuned.
What are we up to? 4 now?
Yeah, so, fuck, every time we do that, I derail my thoughts. This is why we write everything down, because our brains don't function properly.
We're mentally ill.
We're mentally ill, like a rainbow. Mentally ill.
Woo! Reading rainbow. Okay.
When we introduce ourselves like that, I feel like we're doing it because, one, those are things that we're proud of, typically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We worked our ass off for the job title. We put our body at stake for the kids. We put our mental health and our house at stake for the marriage. Whatever it may be. But also, I think that's the least vulnerable parts about us.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's an easy thing to fall back on, and it's that surface level shield that you give to people when you're not ready to tell them your deepest, darkest secrets. Not that you need to tell people your deepest,
Especially
darkest
not
secrets.
in the introductions.
Right,
Maybe we
but,
wait
like,
until we know them for
take
45
it-
seconds.
Let's take it like a step deeper,
Right.
like beyond just skin level, and let's start to get a little bit more into things that you're actually passionate about. And if your career is what you are absolutely truly passionate about and that is your calling, honestly, I'm fucking jealous, because
Same.
that sounds amazing, but most people don't get that.
Yeah.
For most people, dream jobs are not real, and so let's stop defining ourselves by what we thought our dream job was when we went to college at 18 fucking years old.
Oh my god, that's
We'll
another
get into
fucking
that
thing.
at another podcast. Stay tuned!
And no, that does not count as 6 just because we both said it together. It's still just 1, okay? Okay, so I think that the next logical step for us to do is to go back to our original introductions and hash out what titles we gave ourselves, because I know that you and I, even though we try to be as honest as possible in these things, we're writing this with a sense of knowing that we want to avoid our titles, and so I know that we made things kind of ambiguous just to begin with,
Right.
and that's totally fine, but I have noticed that there are still titles that we have given ourselves in here and obvious insecurities that we're portraying, and when we introduce ourselves, we want to introduce ourselves the way our loving mothers would. Not all of us have loving mothers. Some of us have to be loving mothers for ourselves, and that's
Right.
fine. But the way our loving mother, the way our God would introduce us, the things that we are the most proud of, and the things that make us shine. Because essentially when you're introducing yourself, you're just selling yourself, right?
Yeah.
And if advertisers can make themselves look good for all their toxic-ass, disgusting products, then guess what? I can make our getting healthier bodies and essences glow and shine the way that they do.
Right, absolutely.
So, okay, so let's go through. First on mine, I put a hostess with the most sass. And I think hostess shows what I can do for other people rather than how I serve myself. So I don't think that that's probably the best title to give myself. And the most sass.
Although, if I could just dissect that just a little bit, I do think that hostess, yes, in general, most people would say that that's how you serve others if you're like hosting a dinner party or something like that.
Right.
But you also host yourself with the way that you take care of your own space and your own body and how you take care of you. So,
Fine,
I
it
think
stays.
that one's a gray area. It could be allowed.
Fine, I think that stays. And honestly, why would I be ashamed of serving people? One, I throw great parties.
Yeah.
You know, you've been there.
I know.
They're great. And
She made me want to throw parties, and I'm an introvert.
she did it! And she did it too! And it was great.
It was great.
And lots of people showed. You were so
Yes.
nervous that they weren't, but they totally
Yeah.
did. And there were only like 2 big cliques, which I think is better than like
12 separate
of
couples.
2.
and-
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, people actually intermingled and like introduced themselves and had a good time.
Yeah.
Look at us, we're both hostesses. That's great. Okay, so let's see. What else do I have here? Here to share all the wisdom of my fuck-ups with you so that you know how to do it better. That's fine. I think admitting your mistakes is fine, and calling them a fuck-up, while it might be like a little bit derogatory, I don't think it's quite so negative. It just is what it is.
And I think it shows also that you're owning that. You're like, hey, I've made mistakes. I am kind of a fuck up because I've done all these things that looking back on were not great.
Yeah, I was not always smart, and not always this smart, not always this cute either. Yeah, or this humble. But yeah, I definitely have made a lot of stupid mistakes. And genuinely, I thank my parents for allowing me to do stupid shit.
Yeah.
They were so much involved in their own shit that at times they got a little self-centered and would kind of forget about us, and that was perfect enough to give us enough room to fuck our things up in our own special sort of way. And so,
Right.
you know, I know that that's something that a lot of them have like a lot of guilt on, especially if you're a parent and you're listening to this and you have a lot of guilt about how much attention you've been paying to your children or not. Just know that sometimes your inattention is just enough room for them to fuck things up their own way. All they really need is your support. We don't need
Right.
100% of your attention, because that's a helicopter mom, and those are just as traumatic as the ones who don't pay any attention.
Yeah. You don't want to be stifling to your child
Right.
and never let them do anything because you're scared of them getting hurt or something, because if they don't get hurt, they're not going to learn. And as much as it sucks to watch your kid get hurt, yeah, like they really need to learn, because that's how you get to where we are today, doing things and learning things and figuring ourselves out.
And sharing them with others.
Yeah.
Sharing is caring. But yeah, for real, let's give ourselves a little bit of grace. And we'll get more into that in a later episode. Stay tuned! Again. Okay. So let's see what else I have here. Unofficial foster kid turned corporate dropout. I don't think anyone really needs to know that.
Mm-mm.
I don't think anyone really needs to know that. I mean, it's an interesting story, but...
Yeah, I think it's a good anecdote, kind of like you just said, with like inattentive parentals every once in a while. But it's not a definition of you.
No,
because because that could have changed how you turned out or not. It really doesn't matter.
And that's another thing we'll get into later. Stay tuned. And here I use very special set of fuck-ups again. So that's fuck-ups twice.
We don't have to be insecure about our past mistakes.
Yeah, that's a good point to make.
As long as you're owning up to them.
And have changed in the future, and you're not continuing to do those stupid things. Because if you apologize for those stupid things, and then you keep doing those stupid things, your apology doesn't fucking matter. Because guess what? Words
it's
are
not
just
a
words.
real apology. Your apology has to include the action to change the behavior.
Apologies include action. That is the one thing that I think so many people miss, is they think that the apology is just, I'm sorry.
Not, and even I think we've taken it a step beyond that, where like, there's been enough people who are like, that doesn't feel genuine to me, that people are now like, I'm sorry, and then followed up with an excuse. They try and say that they're going to change, but don't. They promise it'll never happen again, whatever it is. But if they don't actually have the action, it's not really an apology.
It's just bullshit.
Yeah, it's just words. It's pretty little words that don't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty little words that don't mean anything. Ugh, gross. Okay, so what about yours? Let's see what kind of titles you've got going on here.
So I have, let me scroll up back to actually look at mine. So I have here that I'm going to talk about my past, present, and future struggles, which I think is, honestly, using the word struggles is potentially not great, because I think I have a tendency to my mind likes to overthink and say that things are going to be really hard when it's really not as hard. And half of the reason that it is hard is because I'm sitting here overthinking things. Right. And I think I can also just put it in a more positive light, like my past instances that I've gone through where I have learned or I have struggled, that's how I got here, and that's how I figured out a lot of things. And, that's just the journey to get here. So I could just think about that in a more positive light than really labeling it as struggles all the time.
See, but I think, if I may dissect this a little bit, I think that this may also deal with me saying the unofficial foster kid corporate dropout thing. I think that that's us identifying with our pain and deeming part of our past and our experiences as who we are, as part of our identity.
Right.
And it's not
that's a good
at
point.
all.
Yeah. It's just like I have always fucking hated in books the trope of like this female badass, like warrior princess, whatever the hell she is, and the reason that she's like such a strong-willed like woman is because of all of the shit that she went to in her past, like if she was molested or her whole family died, or she went through something horrible. And I'm like, you can be just as strong and amazing without having gone through any past trauma. I mean, we all have trauma, let's be honest. We probably not a single person doesn't have trauma. But that does not make you necessarily strong. You don't have to have gone through horrible things to be strong.
No, because on the flip side, you could have gone through horrible things and that made you weak and resentful.
That could turn you into a horrible person if that's how you choose to handle it.
Yeah.
So
the old Russian proverb is the water that softens the potato hardens the egg. The trauma is not what makes the person is what makes the person.
But you get to get inside your own brain and decide how you're going to deal with that shit.
And that is another episode on identifying with your trauma that we will get to later, so stay tuned.
So I also have that I'm a former gifted kid.
Oof. Are you no longer a gifted kid, babe?
No, well, I'm not a kid, first of all.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of creepy. I hate when people do that. Sidebar, I'm so sorry. But when, like, grown adults who are people that are very clearly, like, probably a year or two older than you, like, what's up, kid? How's it going, child?
I actually, having gone through an emotionally abusive relationship, feel every time, I know that most people don't mean it in a malicious way, but depending on who they are, they use it to make you feel less than.
Yep.
And so, yeah, if you are an adult who is near my age and you are calling me kid,
we're gonna fight. We're gonna fight. Just know, in my head, I have jumped across this table to throttle you because that's fucking infuriating.
Right.
Like, what? Ugh. I also, my biological sperm donor uses the phrase kiddo all the time.
Yeah.
And even now that we're grown adults, like, I don't talk to him anymore, haven't for a while now, but my other siblings do, and he still uses that phrase for them. Yeah. And I'm like, they are 30.
Yeah.
They are 30.
Yeah. There's no reason to infantilize an adult.
Louder for those in the back.
There is no reason to infantilize an adult.
Preach. That was her mic drop. Again, we're not dropping these mics because they're too cute, but...
Also, I don't think it would be as satisfying as dropping like
no, because they're so tiny. I mean, look at this thing. What? But how is that satisfying at all? It wouldn't be. Okay, so what else have you got on here?
Alright, but yeah, so back to being a former gifted kid. That's once again listing my achievements from the past.
From the past, yeah.
So it's from the past. Just because I'm no longer considered a gifted kid because I'm out of school, doesn't mean I'm A, not still intelligent, and B, I'm still just as worthy whether I was ever a gifted kid or not.
Preach. Yeah, I have, I was one of those gifted kids who was then kicked out of being gifted because they realized she really wasn't all that gifted. And I felt the weight of that loss whenever I was no longer in that class anymore, too.
And it's really that thing, and I know this is something that I'm still working on, and it'll probably take me a long time to get through, because it has been ingrained in me, probably partially because of these gifted kid classes, that I really have some sort of need for people to know quickly that I am smart.
Dude, same!
And it's not really healthy because a lot of people are smart.
Right.
We're smart in different ways. There's some sort of saying about, like, you can't test a fish by asking it to climb a tree because of course it can't climb a tree.
Right.
But the monkey's fucking up there or some shit. Like, yeah.
But ask that monkey to breathe underwater, but it can't.
Right, exactly. So, you know, we're all smart in our own ways. We all have our own talents and things that we're good at. So just because mine was like book smarts in school doesn't mean that I'm not still just as worthy now that I'm out of school and I'm more average, you know?
Yeah. I think honestly one of the things that has humbled me the most is the thought that I'm just as dumb as everyone else.
Oh my god, yeah. There was literally something I don't even remember what it was today, but I was just like, oh my god, I'm so stupid. Like just one of those brain farts where I was like, and immediately somebody was like, Emily, this is how you do it. And I was like, oh my god, okay.
See, but that's the whole reason why we do that to other people, though. It's because someone did that to us, and that's what we do to ourselves. And now we're doing that to other people. Mm-hmm. And I think, genuinely, once we start to give ourselves more grace for the dumb fucking things, it's called human error.
Right.
That is the human condition.
It's
called
normal.
fucking things
We
up.
all do it.
Exactly.
And even if it's like not something serious, it's like you had a brain fart and couldn't remember the word you're trying to say. Like,
exactly. Like that's my brain's fault. It doesn't make me any more or less intelligent than I was 5 seconds before the brain fart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that.
And even if you're not intelligent and you're stupid as shit, you're still worthy of a good life.
You are still worthy, even if you're dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
The bottom line is we just need to be showing ourselves some more grace.
Yes.
And I think that that's definitely probably going to warrant 2 whole episodes with how many times we've said it already. Because grace is just, it's honestly how you get to the root of everything. It's how you break through all of that trauma. You break down all of those walls and like start to genuinely love yourself. It's all the way through grace and gratitude. So maybe
and it's also like this, you're going to hear this a lot, so just prepare yourself. It's a balance between not taking the excuses, but giving yourself grace.
Yeah.
Of like I haven't cleaned up for my party from Saturday and it's Tuesday now. There's still food setting out in the kitchen and I'm like, but I spent a month busting my ass to do all of this and there is way more food than I expected. And I'm like, you know what? I deserve a couple of days to just kind of chill and I'll take care of it in the middle of the week. But I can't let myself go too far and then be like, you know what, because it was a whole month, I'm gonna leave it for a whole month, because A, that's fucking gross, and B, it's not fair to myself if I give myself that much leeway. I'm gonna hate myself and be like, man, this kitchen's disgusting.
And also I think you should give yourself even more grace, because not only you're saying you didn't clean up your party. The only thing you didn't do was take down the decor, which honestly could stay up all fucking season long because it's cute as hell. And
I didn't clean up the crock pots or do the dishes.
Okay, so you didn't do the dishes, but all the food is compartmentalized. It's in store-safe baggies. All of the dishes are in the sink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not just, like, left out. You're not gonna get ants and roaches or whatever. So, like, you did...
God, I hope not.
We're not suspicious.
No.
Just a little stitious. That's trademarked by someone else. I don't claim that.
Well, not if you said suspicious instead of superstitious. But
okay, see, there you go.
See, I understood what you meant.
Yeah. Okay, so what we're left with is really not a whole lot. So I think we should probably recreate a introduction for ourselves, but based off of the character traits that we are very proud of. Again, we made a worksheet for this. We are not embarrassed by that, and we wrote it down prior. So go ahead and read off the traits that you like about yourself.
I listed for myself that I'm empathetic, I am wise, I'm creative, I'm kind, and strong, and witty.
I believe all of those to be true, and having been your friend for now going on 7 years.
Has it really been 7 years?
I don't know, fuck, let's do the math. We met in
20 years of college.
17? I was a junior.
Okay.
Going into my senior year.
And
I graduated in 2019.
Okay.
So it had been 2018? 2017.
2017, 2018, yeah.
The summer of 2017, and then all of 2018 and 2019.
So yeah, like 6-7 years.
Yeah, because it's what, 23?
Yeah, almost 24.
Shit, fuck.
I know.
Yeah, so 6 going on 7 years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time. Wow. Go us. Yeah! We made friendship work, and now we're doing a podcast together. That's not scary at all.
Wild.
Okay, so I put, for my character traits, that I am passionate and strong-willed and determined. I'm generous as fuck. And it doesn't seem like it at first because I have a little bit of a bitch face, but I promise, if you get to know me, I'm usually really generous. I'm pretty loving, I'm open-minded, and I'm curious as fuck.
I agree with all those traits for you.
Yeah. I would also love to say creative, but I don't I have a problem with creative because, again, a title, I feel like when you say that you're creative to people, they think, oh, you must be really good at things.
Mm-hmm.
And my insecurity tells me that I'm not.
Mm.
But my problem is I'm not imaginative.
Yeah, so I think you have to separate those two, because I do think you are creative.
That's what they hired me for.
Exactly. I've seen the shit that you do.
Yeah.
Stop. But you're not necessarily you're not reinventing the wheel.
No.
Like, you're not necessarily coming up with an idea completely that's your own.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with that. But you're creative enough to figure out a way to take it and make it your own.
Right.
And
manipulate
be good
it,
at
sort
it.
of.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. It's just I'm just not a very imaginative person. Thankfully, my partner is a highly imaginative person. I don't know where he comes from. The boy brain is amazing. Anyways, okay, so then I think getting back to this, originally, in creating our own introductions, we want to elicit and explain and share all of the things that we think are great about us, but I think another important thing to share is the things that we want remembered about us, or like how we want people to feel in our presence.
Right.
Because I think that's very important. So I wrote down that I want other people to think of me and to remember me as brave and sure of myself, so that they know that, like, if there's an issue, I will stand up and I will help them. And that if it comes down to it, like, I am gonna stand my ground. And I think that people can gain confidence from you being that sort of a presence.
Right.
I also wrote that I want them to think that I'm grounded, generous, and fair. And that is the second time that I've put generous on there, so clearly I really want people to know that I am generous. And I think that that's funny, because that is not something that I often portray to people. Like, if you just meet me, I'm not generous even with my facial expressions towards you. Like, I am often
you
very...
have to earn it.
Yes, and maybe that is so present here because it's something I really do need to work on. Generosity should not be hoarded by any means, and I think that we should be free giving to everyone, even if that just means your attention, your eyesight, your... I'm going to say attention again, because genuinely that's the freest it can get. It's just holding someone else's attention. So what kind of things did you decide that you wanted people to remember about you?
I put down that I want them to think that I'm kind and helpful and wise, which is maybe something that I should still work on.
There I am trying to prove
going back to the intellectual thing, but I think in this case, when I use wise rather than like smart or intelligent, I want people to know that I am, maybe thoughtful is a better word,
or open-minded,
you just...
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You made me lose it. But thoughtful or maybe introspective or something. Okay. But I'm going to put in the effort to really think things through. And I'm not just like a spur of the moment. Spontaneity is great, but I also, like, when it comes to the important things, I want people to know that I'm going to put the effort and attention to it that it really deserves, and not just spur of the moment be like, you know what, you're right, I do love you, I am going to get married, or something wild like that. You know, I'm going to take the time to think about this stuff. And I want people to think that I'm safe. I want them to feel safe with me. If they have something that they want to talk about, that they need help with, that they feel maybe like they're going to be judged for, I want them to know that I'm safe and that they can talk to me about that. I don't want people to feel like I'm talking behind their back, or I'm judging them for something, or, you know, after they hung out with me, they go home and they're like, oh my god, I said that thing and she's gonna think that I'm the worst person ever, like such an idiot. I want people to feel safe.
Right. That's something that I struggle with, and the toxic trait of wanting people to know that you're smart is using condescension, is belittling them to make your point, and that has been a really big issue for me in the past. I grew up with a lot of people who used a power trip in order to control situations, and so I started using my intelligence as a defense mechanism, and I started using it as a way to make other people feel stupid and small, especially for their decisions. Because that was the only thing really that they can control, is their decisions and the choices that they made in those aspects, and so I really was just like, I'm gonna take the only thing you fucking got. You thought you were smart, well that decision was dumb as fuck, and I'm gonna tell you how, and you're gonna feel this fucking big, so it's not my best quality, but we're working on it. We're working on it. Okay, so I think that knowing these things, we can create better introductions for ourselves.
Agreed.
Okay, so I think, and I'm not even gonna look at this because I know we typed up something cute and pretty, and I'm just gonna say it as I would say it at your party, except that was already in the past. We can't redo the past, and it's fine. It's whatever. Yes. I introduced myself fine. Okay, so I think if I were going to introduce myself now, I would say I'm Rick. I'm a passionate truth seeker who is generous as fuck and a sucker for good conversation, clearly, and a little bit of glam because I like my things, and I am here to, honestly, I'm here to help fix things just a little bit. I genuinely think that I was put on this planet, that my soul inhabited a fucking 3D body for some ungod-forsaken reason to help people lift and shift into better versions of themselves. I don't want to do the nitty-gritty physical stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I'm all here, and I'll work on it. I'm trying to be more in tune with my body, but I think I'm here to help people. And that has to start with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That was a kind of long introduction. I got a little sidelined there, but I think at its essence,
yeah,
even the rambling is the essence of Rick.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's a rambler. Rick the Rambler. Oh, that's the next one. I'm Rambling Rick.
No longer Slick Rick, Rambling Rick.
Oh, I'm Slick Rambling Rick. I'm Rambling Slick Rick. Whatever you want to call it. Call me and I'll be there. Without looking at yours, what would your authentic introduction be?
I think mine would be, I'm M, and...
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, M.
Hi, M.
We're not a part of AA. Not that it matters. Anyways,
so we support you if you do.
Yes.
If you are, good for you.
Good for you for getting help.
Doing the hard work.
Yes.
That's really brave of you to be talking about your struggles in front of other people.
Yes. I guess we sort of are doing AA then, in a way.
Wow.
Except none of this is anonymous.
No, we're assholes on camera. Assholes in action. There you go.
Yeah,
AA.
okay.
Assholes in action.
Perfect.
God damn. Okay. Anyways.
Hi,
Em.
I'm Em, and I am a kind person, and I am here to help and make others feel safe and heard, and I think that I'm witty and funny. I make myself laugh, so
She makes me laugh too.
I think that that's me.
Yeah, and I think if you're making two people laugh, I think you can declare yourself funny.
I mean, yeah, but I think that, like, as long as I'm making myself laugh, that's the most important part.
You know what? And you are so very right. And we won't even count all the little people in our heads.
No.
Because, like, that could be, like, a whole fucking audience, you know?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's that half of these different personalities.
Oh, God. Absolutely.
I'm already on Rick, like, version 2.15 at this point. Like, I don't know.
I don't even know, God.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would count.
I like to think of my progress as, like, version. Oh, I think one of our cameras turned off. Oh.
You know, it does look like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does.
I wonder if it died.
Uh-oh. I swear I charged them beforehand. Okay, anyways, so it's been great talking to you. I'm gonna make sure that this one gets all of our film
Yes.
before it too dies.
Yes.
And then we will know that this is our time slot.
Yeah.
And thank thanks, Camera, for coming, because you were a whole lot of good. Okay, so we're happy you were here with us. We hope you took what you needed and left what you didn't.
And if you guys want to follow along on our journey, if you feel like it,
we'd be happy to see you there, too.
We'd love to have you with us.
Thanks for coming. Bye!
Bye!